What if I told you that one of the richest empires in the world today was built by systematically draining another nation of over $45 trillion? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's history. This is the untold economic truth behind British colonization of India. In the 1700s, India wasn't poor. In fact, it was one of the wealthiest regions in the world, responsible for nearly a quarter of global GDP. Its textiles, spices, and jewels were so prized that European powers scrambled for a piece of the pie. But Britain didn't just want trade, they wanted control. When the British East India Company gained power after the Battle of Plassey in 1757, a slow and systematic economic robbery began. And unlike a quick smash and grab, this theft lasted almost 200 years. The drain of wealth theory economists like Dadabhai Naoroji, known as the Grand Old Man of India, called it the drain of wealth. Here's how it worked. Britain taxed Indian farmers heavily, forcing them to sell crops like cotton and indigo at cheap prices. Then, those same goods were shipped to Britain, manufactured into textiles, and sold back to India at massive profits. It was a one-way pipeline, raw materials out, expensive products back in, and the money, it never stayed in India. Revenue collected from Indians funded Britain's wars in Europe, built their railways, and expanded their empire across the globe. The famines, this wasn't just about money. The policies had deadly consequences. Between 1870 and 1900 alone, India suffered dozens of famines. Grain exports to Britain continued, while millions of Indians starved to death. Famines weren't accidents of nature. They were the result of policies that prioritized British profit over Indian lives. The $45 trillion estimate. Now here's the shocking number. In 2018, economist Uttar Patnaik calculated that between 1765 and 1938, Britain drained the equivalent of $45 trillion from India. To put that into perspective, that's more than 17 times the UK's annual GDP today. It wasn't development, it wasn't trade, it was extraction on a scale the world had never seen before. The psychological impact, but the theft wasn't just economic. Colonization left psychological scars too. Generations of Indians were taught to believe their country was backward and dependent on British civilization. The truth is, India's poverty was manufactured. It was engineered by policies designed to enrich Britain at India's expense. Independence and aftermath. By the time India gained independence in 1947, the country was left impoverished. From one of the richest economies in the world, it had been reduced to one of the poorest. The British left behind railways, yes, but those were built to transport raw materials out of India, not to develop its people. The big reveal. Why IT matters today. So why does this history matter? Because when people ask why India struggled with poverty after independence, the answer isn't that Indians couldn't govern themselves. The answer is that the centuries of systematic looting had stripped the country bare. Closing message. The story of Britain's colonization of India isn't just about the past. It's a reminder that economic power is often built on exploitation, and understanding that truth is the first step in reclaiming dignity and rewriting the narrative of nations once colonized. So the next time you hear about the glories of the British Empire, remember, it was built on a theft worth $45 trillion, and it came at the cost of millions of Indian lives.